You ever catch yourself saying, "Why do I always end up with the same kind of person?" Like it's some random curse, like the universe just keeps sending you the wrong people over and over again? Yeah, it's probably not the universe. You're not unlucky, you're consistent. And here's the uncomfortable part. This pattern isn't new. It's not something dating apps created, and it's definitely not unique to this generation. A writer figured this out over 200 years ago, long before swiping, texting games, or situationships were even a thing. Her name was Jane Austen, and in her novel, she gave us a character who almost made the exact same mistake people still make today. Her name was Elizabeth Bennet, and she nearly chose the wrong person for all the right reasons. Because when she meets George Wickham, he seems perfect. He's charming, easy to talk to, knows exactly what to say, and makes a great first impression without even trying. The kind of guy who texts back fast, remembers small details, and somehow always says the right thing at the right time. And if that sounds familiar, it should. Because people like Wickham don't show you who they are, they show you what works. And that's the part that gets you, because attraction isn't always about truth. Sometimes it's about performance, and performance is very easy to fall for. At the same time, there's someone else in Elizabeth's life, Fitzwilliam Darcy. Wealthy, accomplished, but awkward, proud, and terrible at first impressions. He doesn't perform charm, he doesn't say the right things, and he comes across as cold and dismissive. So Elizabeth writes him off almost immediately. Because when you've got someone like Wickham making you feel seen, why would you pay attention to someone like Darcy who barely even tries? And that's the problem. First impressions don't just guide your choices, they lock them in. Because once you have a good first impression of someone, your brain doesn't just keep it as a possibility, it turns it into a conclusion. That's exactly what happens with Elizabeth Bennet. George Wickham tells a convincing story about being wronged, and she believes him almost instantly. Not because she's naive, but because it fits what she already wants to believe. And once that belief is in place, everything else starts getting filtered through it. Every nice thing he does confirms he's a good person, and every warning sign either gets ignored or explained away. And you see this all the time around you, just in different forms. Someone makes a great first impression, and suddenly every red flag becomes, maybe I'm overthinking. Every inconsistency becomes, they're just going through something. And every doubt gets pushed aside because the initial feeling was so strong. And this is where the story flips in a way most people don't expect, because eventually the charm starts to wear off. The same confidence that once felt attractive starts feeling inconsistent. The same smooth talking begins to sound rehearsed, and the small things that didn't matter before slowly start becoming impossible to ignore. That's exactly what happens with George Wickham. Because once more of his actions come to light, it becomes clear that the person he presented at the beginning wasn't the full picture. He's financially irresponsible, manipulative, and more focused on appearing good than actually being good. And this is the part that hits, because nothing about him technically changed. He was always like this, it just wasn't visible at the start. At the same time, someone like Fitzwilliam Darcy begins to look different. The traits that once made him seem distant or unlikable start revealing something deeper, like consistency, loyalty, and a willingness to act when it actually matters. He's not performing attraction, he's showing character, and character takes time to understand. This is where most people get it wrong, because charm gives you a feeling immediately, while character gives you proof slowly. And if you're only optimizing for what feels good at the start, you're going to keep choosing people who are good at the beginning, not people who are good overall. Because what Jane Austen is really showing isn't just a love story, it's a pattern that repeats itself every time someone chooses based on what feels right instead of what actually is right. What makes this uncomfortable is realizing that the mistake isn't random, it's consistent. The same qualities that draw you in at the start are often the ones that cause problems later, but because they feel exciting, confident, or easy in the moment, they get prioritized over everything else. And that's why people end up in the same situation again and again, thinking the person changed when in reality the pattern didn't. Because the truth is, you're not just choosing a person, you're choosing what you value. And if you keep valuing charm over character, ease over depth, and immediate connection over long-term stability, the outcome isn't going to change. So here's the question. Are you actually picking the wrong people, or are you picking the same qualities every time? If this made you think a little differently, hit like and subscribe to the channel.